Hi, and welcome to the City Sculptors Podcast. I'm your host, Alexis Williams. I am also the Director of Operations for 12th Street Heritage Development Corporation, but for the past 4 years, I have been immersed in the real estate and development world. That journey led me to this podcast, the City Sculptors. Here, we take a look behind the curtain and we talk to business owners, city leaders, construction workers, realtors, and developers, and we see what does this world really look like and how a city is shaped. So if you've ever wondered what she does seems kind of fun, or hey, I want to make a difference in my community and be a city leader, listen and subscribe and hit like, because here, me, you, and anybody listening can be a city sculptor. Welcome back to the City Sculptors. Back to the City Sculptors Podcast. I'm your host, Alexis Williams, and today we have Deputy Director of Housing and Community Development for the City of Kansas City, Missouri, Deputy Director Dion Lewis. How are you today?
I'm doing good. About yourself? Thanks for having me.
Doing great. Thank you for joining us. So I'm going to give a brief bio of you. It was very long. I'm going to give a brief one just so our viewers kind of know who you are a little. So Mr. Lewis is a U.S. Army veteran, economic... Air Force. Okay.
Air Force.
Correct me. Economic development strategist, a community leader whose career spans banking, public service, and urban revitalization. You currently oversee CCED and helping shape a more equitable and inclusive Kansas City.
Yes.
So with your background from banking to Air Force and now in public service, how does all of that correlate and how did you get here?
Yeah. One key component that you left out was education. I was a teacher for 5 years.
Okay.
At Ruskin High School. Also football coach as well. And I still coach within the community, my spare time. But all of those things help to, prepare me for where I'm at now. Starting with the Air Force, our core values, integrity first, service for self, and excellence in all we do. Just really carried over in all the other arenas that I worked in, especially in education, and really trying to mold the next generation of leaders as they're coming. And so when it comes to economic development, it's pretty cut and dry. It's really, for me, about the fundamentals. Mm-hmm. And educating people in order to be successful. We have all different levels of development, and what seems to be at the core of that is affordable housing and economic development in disinvested areas, in addition to just the city overall. And so really having a strategic and strong approach that is, supported with I guess I would say not necessarily just integrity, but structure.
Okay.
And so that structure is a key component because a lot of times people kind of get into their own lane and kind of doing what they want to do. But you got to pull them back in because, as an individual that is responsible for taxpayer money, we have to have compliance as being a key part of that and really knowing the process to go from a thought process of a development mm-hmm. all the way to where you have a product that we give out to our community, and how does it pretty much benefit its community. So I would just say that that integrity part, that structure part, that education part, mm-hmm. And most importantly, that consistency part. Really having somebody that you build a relationship with and that you can count on to be there, for the development of the project and its outcomes has been very instrumental and important.
Okay. So I was going to ask you, I think you might have answered it. I was going to ask you, as a veteran, how has your military experience kind of shaped how you hold your position and how you lead? And are you more strict, you think, than...
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I'm definitely a stickler in so many different ways for all the right reasons.
Right.
And so really that service before self is at the core of my heart, and probably why I work in such capacity that I do versus the private sector. It's not about the money. It's really about the impact and the outcomes for me. and what we can do to, I guess, gear up and guide our next generation of leaders. Because I got kids. I got three daughters. One who just completed her freshman year at LSU, a sixth grader at Lincoln, and another, soon to be fourth grader at Brookside. So I want to really pave the way and give them a head start, for their lives and their kids' lives and so forth and so on. So.
Okay. Well, we always ask, how do you see the younger generation being city sculptors? So that's the name of the podcast. We believe everybody can be a city sculptor. For that younger generation from middle school up into 30s, how do you see like their influence? What can they do?
Well, first and foremost, they're in a position in which, and I won't even say what can they do, it's like what can we do to help mold them and to get to that next level. And so I think for me, it's about our generation taking the initiative to be intentional and giving them the opportunity. I can tell you for me, if it happened, I don't recall, so therefore it didn't have an impact. But I don't recall anybody really coming to our school in a consistent way to really give us the game. Kind of let us know where we are, where we can be, the different avenues, and really having that commitment, to that future. And so for me, it's like, even whether it's, initiating some civic programs, really planting that seed at the even the late elementary, definitely the middle school level, in preparation for high school. Because when they hit high school, you got to hit the ground running. Really ain't no do-overs. And so I think it's us taking the initiative to kind of be those mentors, be that guide, so to speak, and really meet them and pull them up. As a teacher, I always would say, you got to get down on their level and then build them up. Versus a lot of times, as adults, they be like, oh well, they need to come on my level. And so I think we just need to do a lot more down reaching and pulling up than the vice versa, to where, what do they need to do? Well, we need to meet them where they're at and then kind of guide them to where they need to be.
I like that mindset. And, it is so hard. I got a lot of feedback from people who were interested in development and didn't even know like this was a career, and all the careers that fall under development. So like you said, going into the schools and telling them like, there's multiple careers that you can have. I feel like we're in high school, we're talking doctor, lawyer, not snubbing them, but there's so much that you can do in your own city.
Yeah, and let me piggyback off of that, because I was a personal finance teacher.
Okay.
So we quite often talked about careers. And obviously, there was a partnership. Golly, I can't even think of the name of the entity. As soon as I think of it, I'll let you know. But there was a partnership with an individual, or I guess I can say a company that would come in and they would give like these scripts of these jobs, and we ask them all the time, like, what did you want to do as far as when you get older and things of that nature. And everybody say, oh, I want to play basketball, I want to do this, I want to do that. And then we gave them like a real dose of a reality. Hey, well, this is you, because you never know how your cards is going to be dealt and how you're going to play those cards. And so it's like, hey, well, this is your reality. Some of y'all are going to be doctors. Some of y'all are going to be working for the zoo. Some of y'all are going to be teachers, right? And then they got a harsh reality of, budget and all those said things. And I say all that to say, when I asked them what they wanted to do, they never can think outside of that scope, right? And then I break down like basketball for an example. Say, hey, well, in the event that you can't be a basketball player because only like 1% of people make it to the league, what are the other components that make up basketball that can keep you in that sport, right? So physician, doctor, coach, all those different aspects. Personal finance, some of these individuals, they need agents. They need all those different type of things. So really looking at economic development in that lens too, to say, hey, I want to be in economic development, but what ways can I be in there? You can be on, the public sector, the private sector. You can be in it from construction. You can be in it from finance. You can be in it from community outreach. So it's so many different ways. But again, if we don't kind of teach and guide them, then they don't know about those opportunities. And they're much needed because, like, even right now in the construction force, we are severely undermanned in that arena. But yet development still continues to happen. And I think our average age of construction workers is between 60 and 65. So we got a lot of backfilling to do in terms of preparing ourselves for the development that we're currently doing and the development that we're going to have in the near future.
So speaking of the development that we are currently doing, and you kind of sitting on both sides, how do you kind of balance the economic growth that Kansas City is currently having right now in the boom and trying to maintain the historical and preservation of some of the buildings in certain parts of the city?
Yeah, well, we got programs that we utilize, especially on the housing side. I mean, we got the minor home repair program, so definitely trying to keep and preserve those homes, especially for those that need it from an affordability standpoint. We definitely try to teach people about, capital stack and those opportunities to develop in the urban core, right? Because especially if you're specifically talking about housing, we all know that it costs more to build a house than what it does to sell a house at an affordable, rate. So really trying to figure out how can we be strategic in that approach, introduce developers to bankers who want to do work in those in that community and or in that arena, so to speak, and to kind of help them figure out some financial tools that'll help with the development aspect as well. So really just kind of teach and reach the developers where they're at, and then also reach and teach those individuals who are already homeowners how to maintain and keep their home. One of the key things, LCRA tax abatement with the property tax, kind of freezing that for 10 years, that kind of help, with some of those homeowners and things of that nature. So really just, again, going out to the public, educating them, trying to give them tools that they can stack that'll help them, with sustainability where they currently are, but in the future, down the road.
Yeah. So for some of our listeners who may not know what CCED is or how it helps them, can you explain?
Yeah.
In the very basic.
Yeah. CCD, it was established back in 2017 as a 1A sales tax that was, number one, very much needed, but to build up the east side of the urban core from Paseo over to Indiana, starting from 8th Street all the way south to Gregory Boulevard. And so that fund, which was scheduled to generate about $10 million a year, I think it's increased a little bit depending on what the sales tax is that comes in that particular month. And so, that money was used to kind of provide some more sustainable production on the east side. So whether it's housing, whether it's things such as daycare centers, community centers, just things that would help boost the economic, empowerment and growth in that disinvested area for so long. And so we've had some great successes. We're continuing to get projects in that are going to be very impactful to the community, not only immediately, but, with long-term strategies moving forward. And I'm just really excited about just the work that we've done. We're getting ready to start our third bus tour, which is going to take place next Friday with another 4 projects. And so every year, it seems like we just keep winning, and we just want to keep that momentum going, especially going into next year, where hopefully we can get a renewal of the sales tax to continue to do the great work.
Yeah, we're definitely hoping for that renewal. CCD has been very instrumental in, the 3rd district. Can any district start this, or, each district, from our viewers, the feedback, Some of them don't understand how districts work
Right.
and what opportunities are available to them. And tell us why it was important for CCD to focus on that area that you mentioned.
Yeah, well, again, I start back from one of the first words I said, that it's been, disinvested for so long, right? And so really just trying to, jumpstart that and change that mentality, and trying to, invest in that area so we can have more developers and development want to come onto the east side of Paseo and Troost. And, I know we talk a lot about the 3rd district, but this is a very impactful for the 5th district as well, in which, we're looking to be intentional and have more projects in the 5th district as well. And so, it's just something that's needed, right? And so, you got all this other development going on, whether it's downtown, whether it's up north, whether it's further west. And even with the recent bond, historically, there just has not been an investment in that community, whether it's been education, whether it's been businesses, whether it's been new development in houses, job opportunities. And so, I think, the leaders within the community said, hey, it's time to ask the people for help, and do right by it too.
Yeah.
And so I'm a firm believer of results, and how results can impact change and keep momentum going. And so, my number one deal, being in the position, is to deliver. And to educate and to create a sustainable program, or help to build a sustainable program that we can continue to just kind of recycle and keep this thing going.
Yes, and we definitely wanted to keep going. We talked about developers wanting to come into this area, and because they haven't for so long. So in your experience, what are key factors that contribute to the success of the public-private partnership in the urban development?
Number one, alignment. And so I always tell people, start your alignment with citywide business plan, and, for whatever department that you are, receiving funding through. Alignment through the actual program itself. I know CCD has a strategic plan as well, really being diving into that material and kind of knowing, hey, what is this money really is wanting to be utilized for?
Right.
Reviewing the RFPs, really talking to the community. Community engagement is very, very helpful for that, because, again, you want to make sure you're going to have a product that the community is going to, want to champion themselves. And then working with all the other community partners as well, such as the school districts, right?
Yeah.
The businesses, to your point, the youth, kind of telling them like, hey, this is what we're trying to do. This is the opportunity we have. Like what is your vision? What is your goals? And try to have some alignment with that. And I think the trust factor there, building those relationships, but ultimately the consistency and then the deliverable part of things. And so when you kind of mix all those things together, I think that creates that success and that sustainability that we so desperately need.
Yeah, and the perfect partnership.
In a perfect partnership, yes.
And I've worked with you all before. You guys are strict, and the rules are the rules.
Right.
We appreciate that because, like you said, you're using taxpayer money.
Right, most definitely.
So kind of give us a little bit more about how does your department ensure that new development aligns with you all's mission? I know there's different types of housing that you guys support and development that you all support. So how do you guys ensure that, people who come to you or the monies that you grant to specific projects, align with the vision that you guys came up with?
Yeah, and so, we have a very detailed application process. I'm sure you're very aware of.
I am.
And we really try to capture all that information within that application. Our review process is very it's taken seriously. Let me just say that. And so, we have a group of individuals that come together. I think more recently, like even with CCD, we've streamlined the review process, bringing in some outside perspective that kind of helps to hold us accountable with our own strategic plan and what we're looking for as well, specifically with CCD. But in all other areas, as far as our housing department, we have staff that are dedicated to really reviewing and holding the applicant accountable to those visions and missions, and reviewing those letters of recommendations, ensuring that has been an engagement plan in place, in which the neighborhoods have done a great job of revisiting that and creating that roadmap for future projects, current and future projects. Having those conversations, whether it be with the developer or with the community, and just really ensuring that all the other pieces have fallen in place. So that includes workforce development. Are you utilizing minority and women business enterprises? Do you have the intentions to do a prevailing wage? Just really crossing the T's and dotting I's to say, hey, as my go-to word is your project shovel ready?
Yeah.
Right. Not only in terms of with the capital stack and having a team together, but in terms of the buy-in from the community and meeting those needs of the strategic plan in the area that you're going to be developing.
Okay. We are going to take a break on that note, and we will be right back. Welcome back to the City Sculptors Podcast. I'm still your host, Alexis Williams, and we still have with us Mr. Dion Lewis.
Yes.
Okay, so where we kind of left off, we were talking about the impact of just the community, how we, structure our organizations, what CCD means, why we have it in the area that we have it. And so talk to me about some of the challenges with affordable housing and what strategies, maybe other than CCD, are being implemented to, bring affordable housing or workforce housing, if that's what you want to call it.
Well, our number one issue is the money, when it all comes down to it. And on top of the money, what I mean by that is really the gap funding. Again, we're definitely a strong supporter of market rate, but we just don't have the market rate type of jobs and market rate families that can afford those type of properties, whether it's renting or even buying houses. And one of the things that we really strongly want to support is home ownership. That is the pathway. In some cases, people will say towards generational wealth. And so, being able to build a house and sell it at a point to where a family is comfortable buying it, and again, comfortable buying it. A lot of times, people, may try to buy a house, but again, if the majority of your money is going to the house and then you don't have enough money to live, that's a problem as well. And so, and that's why a lot of people end up renting. And so, being able to, again, contribute to that gap funding is very critical. But in addition to that, being able to assist developers and those individuals who are trying to develop affordable housing, whether it's through Land Bank, because I know Land Bank is a tool that we can use, but I know Land Bank over the past couple of years, we've been trying to assist these properties to make them ready for development. What I mean by that is, especially in the urban core, 3rd District, 5th District, a lot of these properties are dirty. They need environmental remediation. A Land Bank property is somewhat sold as is, so you're going to, especially if you're trying to do affordable housing, but more importantly, healthy affordable housing.
Yes.
And that's why when I talk to a lot of developers, sometimes they're like, oh, yeah, I'm trying to build a house that, and the other. I'm like, okay, cool. Are you trying to make sure that the dirt's clean too? And then the eyes kind of get wide open, like, okay, well, yeah, I'm gonna try to make sure it's clean. And so then they do the testing and come to find out it's dirty. They got to do remediation. Well, that wasn't in a budget, right? Another thing that kind of holds up some development sometimes is title, clear title, and so we put some dollars towards that to help clear title in preparation for development and selling as well. So really trying to meet the market and developers where they're at. So to kind of offset some of those costs to ensure that they're in a better space to develop affordable housing is some of the things that we'll be trying to do. And again, that CCD, federal funds, if they apply and get approved for it, are also a part of that capital stack. And again, most importantly, trying to tie these developers in with community bankers that support the mission and that type of development throughout the city of Kansas City. I'm hoping to tap into some philanthropy funds because that'll be very useful as well. But we're taking what we can get for right now.
Okay. And you sit in a position where you kind of see everything, what they say, from like a bird's eye view. You kind of know the behind the scenes and what goes into making a development project. Right. For the developer, community engagement is very important before we come to you all.
Most definitely.
So how do you kind of balance that? Sometimes the community gives input that is just not possible at all.
Right.
So how do you kind of balance what the community tells you, what they do or don't want, versus knowing kind of what is needed?
Right. Community is, very large in a lot of different ways. I mean, you're going to have your neighbors within those communities. You're going to have your businesses within those communities. You're going to have, your council and state representatives. And so really getting a healthy feedback and balance of everybody. But more importantly, ensuring that you're going through the checks and balances, and not to sit here and say, obviously community input is very, very important, right? But we also take into considerations all kind of other aspects of development as well. And so a lot of times, representation matters. I learned that in as a school teacher as well. So it's not sometimes what you're saying, but who's saying it, right? And so maybe they don't want this person to come in and, maybe, okay, cool. I reach out to a neighborhood association president or a community member, and I say the same thing that this person just said. They're like, oh man, that's a great idea, And so really kind of being that that connector, that conduit, that kind of bridge those gaps, kind of helps in those aspects as well. But at the end of the day, I tell people those projects have to align. They have to align on 3 levels. Again, citywide business plan, program initiatives and strategic plan, and then also, community engagement. And in community engagement, not sometimes everybody within the community agree, right? You might have a neighborhood association don't agree, but maybe the school district agrees, or maybe the business agrees and stuff like that. So you have to really take all those things in consideration. And then a lot of times, ultimately, like with CCD or Housing Trust Fund, a board is going to make the recommendation. So we try to facilitate as much background and knowledge and information to set them up to make, some clear and concise decisions based upon the facts and the information that we can get from those applications.
Okay. So we kind of talked during break just about your role when you were an educator and kind of how you came in and how you kind of shaped the education system kind of before you left where you were. If you could leave a lasting legacy in Kansas City, what would it be?
That's a good question. I got a couple of quotes that I like to live by. Okay. One of them is, and again, based upon my experience, people don't play in the field, people fail to play in. And so, my legacy, period, is my kids, right?
Okay.
And so, like I said, I have 3 daughters, and I really want to leave them in a better position and space to kind of, grow into who they are and who they want to become. And for me, my legacy is helping to create the type of community that they can thrive in, right? And so if I can continue to do that work by way of, again, engaging with the community to provide economic development that's going to grow and sustain communities, and give my kids and their kids and their friends and their community the type of life that they dream of having, I think, I'll be satisfied with those type of results. So
with that, is there anything that Kansas City is missing that could help that? Or do we just keep on the trajectory?
Well, I won't say that it's missing it. I say that it just needs to be discovered.
Okay.
Because it's here.
Yeah.
And I think we got great leadership now, but I think we got even better leadership to come. Again, it's about reaching that potential sooner than later. I'm a big fan of mentorship. I'm a big fan of volunteering and community engagement. Again, why I coach to this day. I mean, besides me having kids that still participate in sports. But I got over about 40,000 hours of volunteer service work, starting from the military to even now. And so I think that finding those gems early and really surrounding them with the type of support that they need that will, give us longevity and sustainability towards, kind of continuing to grow Kansas City to where we know it can be. We're the heart of America, you know what I'm saying? So, exactly. So it's like, man, again, as a high school teacher, I'm like, we got so many gems here, right? It's like, and not toot my own horn, but I'm only one person, right? I need 100 of us to be out here kind of planting seeds and molding these next generation of kids. Ariante, who was just drafted second round, one of my former students and football players. And so, Ikenna, who also was a part of the draft 2 years ago, came from Ruskin High School. So you got two kids. They came from little old Ruskin High School, in which when I was coaching there 5 years, we never had a winning record. Matter of fact, I think we won all of 2 games probably.
You was a coach?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Resources, y'all. Okay. Resources, right? The things that we still need to build up our community. But what I'm getting at is I think the strong leadership that we had on that coaching staff, learning how to deal with adversity, right? And not letting your circumstance dictate your future and your outcomes. And I think those are the things, when I got there, they would say, oh man, we ain't never had the same head coach, in the last 10 years, So year 2, I was the most tenured coach there. And so, and that means something, with that consistency. And so, me being able to stay there through the duration of a freshman through senior really meant something to those kids. And so even though we didn't win a game, they gonna win the game of life. Lasting impact. And so that's what I would say is probably what's needed most, is just to have more individuals that's willing to kind of, like I said, go down to the lower level and pull some kids up that we know that's going to be impactful for the city.
Yeah. Do you know of any? We've asked our previous guest before, how did they find their mentor? How do these kids find mentors? Is there a program that they can find, or should we just go into the school and offer?
No, well, I'm gonna tell you, some of these schools already have those programs in there. I know when I was with Hickman Mill School District, they had a mentorship program. I was actually part of that mentorship program. I was on the brochure and everything. Dr. Carpenter, who was the then superintendent, was very supportive in that program. And on my lunch break, kid you not, I used to go down to Santa Fe elementary, and I would that was my time that I was able to mentor a kid because after school and before school were not options, just kind of given the lay of the land as far as the community was concerned. So I was like, well, I can't take off work, but and we had block schedules. Yeah. So, when I had my block off, it's like 2 hours. Okay. So that was 2 hours I can run down the street to Santa Fe and have my little mentee, and we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about, and encourage him to do certain things. Education was my number one conversation, but I will also talk about, hey man, what you want to do when you grow up? You want to do this is how you get there. You got to stay focused on certain things. Surround yourself with positive folks, listen to your parents, all that type of stuff. But I think these schools have them. It's just that it's just kind of hard sometimes, finding some individuals because, people got lives and they got their own kids, and it's just a matter of really, again, being intentional and finding in your spirit to kind of want to do it. But for me, I always reach out to my friends and say, hey man, they need a mentor, a mentee type of deal to kind of help bridge that gap a little bit as well.
So just being the change that you want to see.
Yeah, most definitely.
So we ask everyone, what does being a city sculptor mean to you personally?
What does being a city sculptor mean to me? I think for me, and I try to take my own myself out of the equation as far as leading what that looks like. And what I say about why I say that, so to speak, is because I want something that's going to be long lasting. So again, just like with anything else with development, you got to work with the community, right?
Right.
A lot of times I think I got the right answer, but sometimes that's not always the case. And I surround myself with a good team of individuals that can kind of bring me back to reality. But at the end of the day, I think being a sculptor of the city looks like, number one, me being intentional and wanting to sculpt the city. Me listening to what the needs of the city are, me being able to ascertain the resources that can ultimately deliver what the beautiful sculpture of the present and the future should be. And I think that we have all those said things. Again, it's just a matter of staying the course and really doing your due diligence to be who you need to be in order to scope what the city needs to look like.
Well, on that note, we want to thank you for being a city sculptor. We want to thank you, Deputy Director
Dion.
We're gonna cut that in. We'll edit that. We want to thank you, Deputy Director Dion Lewis. That's a tongue twister. Say that 3 times.
I know.
Thank you for sculpting the city. Thank you for being that change and just igniting that fire. We hope our listeners and viewers take that torch, run with it. If you can't do anything else, if you don't want to be a developer or go into this career, we hope that you'll become a mentor, as he spoke about, in different schools, and just help him maybe be a friend to somebody and
most definitely.
Put them on the right path. This is the City Sculptors. Thank you for joining, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching this episode of the City Sculptors. If you've ever thought about how our city shaped or thinking about a new career path, this podcast is for you. We upload every second and fourth Monday. I'm your host, Alexis Williams, and this is the City Sculptors Podcast.